Yeah, it's fine.
Mm, yes, you're visible now. Harsh, you can continue. I'll drop off.
Yep.
Yeah, hi.
Thanks,
Thank
Anuj.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, hi, Anuj. How
Yeah,
are you?
hi. Yeah, I'm fine. What about you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Amarjit, can you brief me about your past experience and what kind of projects have you worked with?
Sure. Thank you for that asking. My name is Abarjit. I'm having 7+ years of experience. Currently, I'm working for the customization as well as implementation based on the client requirement. So the technology we used in Java development I'm doing. So the technology which used like a Java with a Spring Boot microservice, a Spring Cloud component as a backend. Some of the exposures in front end as Angular 9. Also have a good exposures and experience in AWS cloud services. And apart from this, the database which I have Mongo and Oracle, SQL, and Mongo is a NoSQL, and all the dev tools which I use for the development like Apache, Maven, Jenkins, Jira, GitHub, ELK, Splunks, and all. Coming for the domain, I have good experience in the domain like banking, telecom, e-commerce, and health insurance. So currently, I'm working the project based on the health insurance. So the project is a portal where we are providing a customer to come in this portal and take whatever the insurance he want to take. So there will be multiple operations. Once users will select a particular insurance, the user's order will be created, and after that we will manipulate this order with the multiple business requirement through the microservices. Like we can calculate the price, we can update the slot, so we can there will be store, and after that there will be some notifications, rewards, promo, and all. And after that there will be job schedulers and report generations and all will happen through that. So this is the project overview, where we worked. And the same my role and responsibility for this project here, we are following agile. So based on this agile, whatever the sprint task will be defined in the Jira task will be worked on that. So my role and responsibility on daily activities, we are developing a microservices end-to-end development if requirement will come for that. So based on the microservices, some of the cases what will happen, we'll have already microservices, we need to do some some of the implementations we need to do. So in that implementations we'll have develop with the same technology. And apart from this, we'll have a multiple third party calls and all will happen. So that for that we have a REST template call or maybe a synchronous call as a Kafka messaging which we are integrating with that. And once we develop these applications, then that will be go for the different microservices in the different layer of deployment. So that layer will have a multiple test cases, test environment, or maybe production. So while it will go for the production, so in that cases we will be available on the call in productions and involve what are the changes I have done. So we need to check all the changes, configurations, logs, and all, so that we can once deployment will happen, then we can check all the responses proper coming or not as per the request. And if not, then we can debug the application, track the applications, do fix deployments and all immediately in the productions level. So that type of things also I'm doing. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Uh, Thanks for the brief, Amarjit. Let's start with a few questions here and there, and then we can go ahead, let's start with the core Java part. I'm sure you must be aware of final, finally, and finalize keywords. Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when are the cases when the finally does not run? So the finally keyword, when is the finally block does not run?
Finally block does not run if you will have a exit method like system.exit or something. In that cases finally will not run.
Okay. And is that the only case when the finally does not run?
No, no, there are multiple way will be there which will be not run, but if your application has been terminated, or maybe out of memory exceptions came, or maybe system exit you have done, or some manually you have done something, in that cases will also not work.
Sounds fair. Okay. So what are the methods that we use of the object class? Can you list a few methods of the object class and when do you use it in your day-to-day
What are the method?
of the object class?
Uh, Object class. What are the method we can use in object class?
Yep. What are the methods that we use of the object class in a day-to-day?
Uh, Object class will have a mostly CRUD operations based like get, update, delete, modify.
No, object class as in like the parent class of all the classes.
Yes.
Object class.
Hmm.
No. Actually, like the object class has methods notify, notify all,
Okay, oh, these
wait,
things you are. Yeah,
default.
so
Yeah.
most of these things, yeah. So this depends on the requirement where you are working. Suppose if you are doing for the thread, then we'll have a notify, notify all, wait method and all.
Okay. Okay. So what's the meaning of transient in Java? What does transient mean to you?
Transient means like suppose if you are doing some of entity DTO classes which you have created, there multiple entities attributes are there, and if you want to deserialize, so that will have a serial version UID. And some of the cases, some of the fields I don't want to deserialized or serialize or deserialize. So in that cases we'll have a transient. So you have to make it as a particular attribute as a transient at the rate transient. So that will be that attribute will not serialized. Right.
Okay. And what does transient mean in the case of, let's say, HQL or Hibernate? Are you aware of transient in Hibernate?
Yeah, Hibernate, like suppose if you have a database connections and all, so that database connections will have a username, password, so that will be always same. So you can't dislice that one. So in that cases, we can go for the transient.
Okay, fair enough. Uh, so, like, are you aware of Java 8 concepts?
Yeah, most of the Java
So,
features.
with respect, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, most of the Java features, Java 8 features are used like Lambda, functional, stream API, optionals, datetime API and all.
Okay. What would be the difference between interfaces and abstract classes when we come to Java 8? So, when let's say I'm using Java version 8,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the differences between interfaces and abstract classes?
Okay, so interface will have 100% of abstractions will be achieved. An abstract class will have a single abstract method and multiple concrete method we can use. That is called abstract. So mostly is used for this for this interface we can allowed in Java 8 we will allow the default also there.
Okay. So you just said that if you want to achieve 100% abstraction, we'll use interfaces. So
Yes,
using default methods will actually contradict the 100% abstraction, right?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the meaning of default method and what's a static method in the case of an interface?
Default and static suppose if you are doing if you have implemented some of the business logic, okay, in that client want to modify your requirement, and they need some of the new features that need to be enabled in the particular, but you have created a interface. In that cases what will happen, before Java 8 is not possible to modify anything and all because default and all was not applicable. Now we can add default and static. So what is default? Default, if you don't know the full implementations and all, we can just temporary purpose, if you want to add some features in the particular business logic, in that cases we can go for the default. And a static will be loaded at the class, we can say, or maybe interface. So if you have a full final implementation that will be fixed for always, no need to change or modify anything in that cases, then we can go for a static.
Can we override a default method or an abstract method? So let's say I have an interface in that I have one default method and one static method. So, and I create like a child class from that interface. Okay. So in that case, can the child class implement override the default method or the static method?
Static method can't be override, default we can override.
Sounds fair. That's right. Okay. Uh, so what is the difference? Are you aware about exceptions in Java?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would be the difference between the class not found exception and the class definition not found exception? So these are two different exceptions that we usually face. Class not found exception and class definition not found. So what is the difference and when do we encounter any of these?
Yeah, class not found exception will come like suppose if you have a jar file which you have created for the particular microservice or maybe application. In that, the particular classes are missing and you want to execute for the business requirement for this, and that classes may be missed or maybe not built properly or something happen. In that cases we will get a class not found exception. And classes are there but inside there are multiple method which you have enabled or added, like multiple method, and some of the method maybe have some exception that is not executing properly. In that cases class definition not found exception will come.
Okay, sounds fair. So have you worked with Spring and the Spring Boot framework?
Yeah, a Spring Boot framework right now I'm using sorry, a Spring Boot concept I'm using, a Spring framework I use what.
Sounds fair. What are the benefits that we get with Spring Boot?
A Spring Boot have a multiple benefits are there that will be worked on a Spring framework. Like while you are creating a Spring Boot project, so easily we can create because we have a initializers are there. We have a Spring.io is there. Through that we can a Spring Boot a starter is there. So through that we can add this component which is required and create a dummy applications. First, second thing is we have a multiple inbuilt server already there, like a Tomcat and Jetty is there. We have actuator are there so that we can check our applications metrics and all. We can check the health check of the particular metrics. And apart from this, we have a at the rate Spring Boot application annotations are there, which will be automatically configure your all the configuration which is required in application.yaml and all. And multiple things are there, like we have a command line arguments are there, runners are there, and others features we can use so that.
Have you used DevTools from Spring?
Yeah, a
Spring
Spring
also
Boot.
provides DevTools.
Yes.
So have you used Spring Boot DevTools?
Yeah, Spring Boot DevTools is used like automatic while you are any updating any applications or any content in the particular Java file or many application, then automatically that jar will be created by using DevTools. So no need to run application manually and all. So that features also
Okay.
there in.
So Amajit, can we connect two different databases in a Spring Boot application? We are aware that we can create like we can connect to one database. Is it possible for us to connect two different databases in one Spring Boot application?
Yeah, we can do. Uh,
Okay.
It depends on the requirement. You can do the single database connectivity or multiple database connectivity in a single application or multiple microservices
And how
application.
do you connect multiple databases
Depends on, like
in one?
suppose first of all, if you want to connect multiple database, first of all you can add the dependency in form.xml for both
Okay.
two instance, like as a Mongo on Oracle, whatever you are doing, or maybe or both relational database. It depends on. And after that, you have to add the configuration details in your application.yaml file or property file, like Mongo related username, password, driver details, and all. For SQL related username, password, driver details, and then you can create a two config class, that is like SQL connectors dot java file, mongo connectors dot java file in util classes. And then while you are calling this business logic as a service implementation class, so depends on, like suppose first you are updating the details in the a database, and then after that you are providing some business logic, and then again final update you are doing from b database. Then you have to call those both template, like a mongo template and sql template. You need to auto wire that one, and then auto wire this connector classes in this implementation class, and then update. And also while you are creating a repository class, so
Amajit,
that.
your voice is breaking.
Sorry, your voice is not
Yeah,
coming.
your voice is breaking a little. Yeah, I can hear you now. Your voice is breaking a little in the middle. But yeah, so sorry, go ahead, continue.
Mhm.
Now I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, so after that what we have to do, while you have the two database instance, then you can create a two repository. So that two repository will be based on that, like as a mongo repository, and other is a sql repository. There you can update or modify the business database. So like that we
Sounds
can do.
fair. Sounds fair. Um, okay. What is the difference between a put request and a patch request?
Put is both is used for this updations. So put is used
Okay.
for this, like if you have already existing database, so records are there. In that record you want to modify particular items or particular columns, and that then you can go for the put.
Okay.
If you have a multiple huge amount of records are there, and in that you want to modify some of the changes which will be worked in all the records, like some of employee id instead of employee ids you want, or maybe some different naming conventions or something you want. In that cases we can go for the patch which will work on huge data updations in that.
Okay. Okay. Sounds fair. Uh, are you aware about the get and the load method of like Hibernate? There's a get method and there's a load method. Are you
Yeah,
aware of that?
yeah, I'm aware. I used also, but not in right now. But get is used to, I think, directly hit the database. Mm,
Okay.
and load
And what does load do?
load will be create a instance of replication, and then that will be hit. So the load while we are loading first time, so they will create some cache, and in that cache will be store some information. So while you are doing a second time, so that will not hit the database directly, it will check the cache. If that their data is there, then that will be called. So your database load factors and all will be decreased here, and get method directly will hit the database only.
Okay. What is the difference between let's say runnable and callable? So if you know in threads we have thread class runnable and callable now. What is the difference between runnable and callable?
Runnable is an interface which have a run method to execute while you are writing creating any thread, so that run will be called. And callable is also a call method, that is also interface which will call like a particular method, I think. uh, just a minute. Runnable is used for to execute this thread class thread, but callable I think used for, there is a call method will be there. Not sure right now. We'll check
No
callable.
worries. That's all right. I think callable can only be used with executor service, and runnable can be used with executor service as well as a thread class.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
executed that.
Okay. What is the difference between request mapping and get mapping? So in Spring, we have at the rate request mapping annotation and at the rate get mapping annotation. What would be the difference between these two?
Yeah, request mapping and get mapping. While we are writing any controller class, in that we'll have this one get mapping and request mapping. So request mapping, if you have mentioned, that will be will be process that in the request body you have to enter the details, either name you have to pass some Marjit ID and these things. And get mapping which will be depends on this URI we have to pass.
Okay. Can I pass multiple methods in a request mapping?
Yeah, we
So
can
in request
pass.
mapping, I have to pass. Yep.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
request mapping we can pass it multiple method.
Okay. Sounds fair. So are you currently using a laptop or a phone?
Right now I'm using laptop.
Okay. Is it okay if I give you a code snippet? Will you be able to attempt a code snippet?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just send you a link of a compiler. Just one second. Or do you have a ID handy with you?
Notepad I have right now.
I've sent you a link. Please check the chat. You'll find a link for an online compiler.
Hmm.
Can you please share your screen and then we can go about with the question?
Okay.
Yep. Have you worked with streams and collections?
Yeah. Java 8, right?
Yep, Java 8 streams and
Yes.
collections. Okay, perfect. So what I want you to do is you can write, have a string, create a string first, which will have a statement. Statement. Have any statement. You can write any statement inside that. This interview is going good, something like that. Anything, any statement which is fine.
Hmm.
Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to left rotate the complete statement twice. So for example, all the words will be rotated twice. So this will go in the end in the first rotation. Interview will become the first word. Do you want me to give you an example of what I want?
Yeah.
Okay. So for example, if you have a string statement as one, two, so I want the output to look something like this.
That's it, right?
Something like this. Yeah.
Input is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So output will be 3,
One,
4.
two, three, four, five represents the words that we have. I want you to left rotate it. Rotate the words to the left twice. So if you see on the first rotation, one will go behind and all the alphabets will come ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Twice you want to rotate. So first two letter will
Correct.
be starting from
Correct.
third. Okay.
If you can use streams and collections, it would be great. Or you can go ahead with your implementation. That's fine as well.
So in that cases will be like is in progress interview this. In these
First,
cases we'll have a is in
is
progress interview this.
correct. Is in progress. This interview, something like that. In progress
Mm-hmm.
this interview. Rotation twice.
Mm-hmm.